saving the spot for Debbie.
Well, you learn from the best.
Welcome, everyone. Happy to welcome you to our first public forum for the presidential finalists for Snow College. My name is Dave Bueller. I'm the Utah Commissioner of Higher Education, and it's my pleasure to moderate these forums today. I want to invite our first candidate, our first finalist to come forward, Dr. Steve Hood, and he'll have a seat right here. Give him a hand. That's great. Just have you right there. He'll help you with the microphone. Somebody will. There he is. Let me just give you a couple of guidelines for today. So here are the guidelines. Basically, this is going to be kind of a town hall format where each of the finalists, as we go through in turn, for whichever you're able to stay for, it could be a long afternoon, maybe not everyone will be able to stay all 4 hours, but we'll ask you to come forward and ask your question. We would ask that it be a question, not a statement, and I'll try to make sure that's the case. And when we ask you to be concise and direct, and to keep your question related to the candidate's role as president, and not anything that would be extraneous. At the end of the hour, and I'll come back to the slide at the end of the hour, but we'll ask you for your feedback. And you can send your feedback here. It will be read by a member of my staff, and then it will be shared tomorrow morning with the Board of Regents and the Executive Committee of the Snow Board of Trustees. And so earlier today, each of the candidates had an opportunity to meet with student government, with the President's Cabinet and Deans, and the Faculty Senate Chair and Staff Association President, and the Board of Trustees. And so this is now your turn for members of the faculty, staff, community, students, whoever is here. And so I'm going to ask the first question of Dr. Hood. And I'll just ask you if you would introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about why you're excited about being a finalist for the presidency of Snow College.
Great. Can everybody hear me okay? I think this is working. Thanks for coming. I'm Steve Hood. I work in menswear on the 3rd floor of Noise. So grateful to be here. I've been here for about 5 years and currently serve as the Vice President for Academic Affairs. This has been a very rewarding experience for me and my family. We have absolutely enjoyed living here and being part of this institution. Snow is very fond of saying that we're a different kind of a place, we're a different kind of a community. And I heard that a lot when I came, and I quickly learned that it really is a different kind of a community and a different kind of a place. This is a place where the students are first, and that everything is directed towards helping them to succeed. And I'm grateful to be part of an institution that shares this kind of goal. I haven't been at a place where I know so many people from different offices and walks of life. I've got friends in the faculty, in various offices across campus that help with student services, with finance, with facilities folks that help keep all of our facilities running and so on. And so that's been a great thing. Most of my experience throughout my college career has been in academic affairs, trying to make sure that there were classes that I taught, that there were programs for students that ran, and here at Snow College, making sure that we had a vibrant curriculum that was moving along. And one of the things that I'm greatly encouraged about is I think we have a great future at Snow College. But there's some challenges right now, and it's challenges that rest on everybody's shoulders. It's not one office, it's not one individual department and so on. But there's some things that we have to start doing in order to change, and I know we can do that, and I know that we're going to do that. So as a president, if I were to serve as your president, one of the things that I want to do is I want to pay a lot of attention to recruitment and to retention and trying to grow private scholarships so that this is a place that will continue to have the same kind of storied legacy that we always had, that looks out for students and is transformational. There's so many benchmarks that students can have at Snow College that they're not able to have other places. They can get a great education at any of our sister USH institutions. This place it really is different. This place takes students not just in small class sizes, not just that they get to know the professors and so on, but there is an overall ethic that people operate by that indicates that becomes pervasive, that students understand that they matter and that this college is something that is good, that they need to belong to, and that being here will help them to be a better person and to be more successful, whether they go into the workforce or they transfer. So I want to continue to be a part of that. And I think that I carry a little bit of a unique perspective from my own family background and so on that shares a lot of the same experiences that a lot of Snow College students have. So that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do, and continue to work with people here at Snow College. So,
thank you so much, Dr. Hood. Now it's your turn to ask questions. We have until about, we'll end exactly at 10 minutes to, so we'll go to just a little hair ahead of that. We just invite you to come up to the microphone. We are streaming this live, so you've given us permission to put you on the stream if you're here. So anyway, we invite you to come up and use the microphone so that you can be heard. And if you don't have questions, then I'll just ask questions. But it'll be much more interesting to hear you. So yes, thank you, sir. And we'd ask you to give us your name and kind of your affiliation with Snow too.
Sure. My name is Jason Springer. I'm the director of the Student Success Center here on campus, Dr. Hood. Thank you for the opportunity to ask you some questions. I just have one basic question that I think is pertinent to this role. I'd like to know what your biggest professional misstep or mistake has been, the lessons that you've learned, and how has it changed your work?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Jason, I can come to it really quickly.
I appreciate that.
At a previous institution that I used to work at, I had an employee, a faculty member that worked in my department. I was department chair. And there was a situation where I realized that we were not having the kind of report that we needed with students. It wasn't that she was mean, it wasn't that she didn't try. She was used to teaching at a very large institution, and she tended to lecture and so on. We had, the situation I was at was a liberal arts college, and you needed to be able to speak with students and lead discussions in more of a Socratic method. And so this give and take went back and forth, so that the give and take could go back and forth in a classroom setting. I had worked with her a couple of times and so on, and it just didn't seem to be working out. And then, in my opinion, she crossed the line because she started to insist with some of the students that her political views were right. I teach in the political science field, and she was. So in trying to, she came to my office and she said, "I need to talk to you." And I said, "Great." I said, "I've been wanting to talk to you too." And she said, "Well, really?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, there's some concerns I have, and I'd just like to share some of those concerns with you and talk a little bit about them before. She asked, "What are your concerns?" I should have asked for her concerns first. And I went ahead and told her that she was, we would not be continuing her contract, that she was an adjunct professor, she was not a full-time, but she was still a member of our department. And the result of that was, because of that context, it was devastating to her. And if I had had that to do it again, and to take it back over again, I would have rethought and not done it on the, oh, well, she's here, I might as well take advantage of this before. I was dumb, it was stupid, and it hurt her feelings. And the situation that she wanted me to talk about was a very personal situation that was weighing on her and her family, and I felt even worse about it. So I think what I came away learning about that situation is be still and listen. Hear what's going on. Listen to what people have to say. And then even when you have a criticism or a concern, ask them what their points of view are. Give them the feedback. Are you seeing the same thing? If you sense this, or is there another side here that I need to see? So, learning that as a 35-year-old or so, that was a really important lesson. And I learned right off that, before that, I have to admit, I thought being a good department chair was growing your department and getting it in a particular direction. I had not looked enough at the people side of it and the personalities, and so not something I'm greatly proud of. Thanks a lot, Jason. So,
All right, thanks. Next question. You can queue up there if you want to, too. Just to make sure we get you all in.
So I'm Josh Hales. I'm the Director of Human Resources and also business faculty here at Stone College. So in the last question, you talked about how you try to listen more. But sometimes leaders need to make unpopular decisions and roll with it. So could you tell us about a time where you knew the right decision would be unpopular, and how did you lead through that potentially unpopular decision?
yeah, I got one of those too. At another previous institution, this was an institution that required not only that you teach, but that you also have publication requirements. One of the faculty members that was there was a pretty good teacher, not necessarily at the top of the game, but pretty good, but was not keeping up on the scholarship. And the scholarship is very important at some of these small liberal arts colleges because students have to, when they graduate with a bachelor's degree from one of these schools, they have to have some of the latest and most up-to-date information that comes from their fields. She had been through a committee already that had recommended tenure. And I knew that the president of the college wanted her tenured, and I knew that the vice president wanted her tenured. But I did not think that it was fair. I thought that there was a double standard that was going on, and it weighed on me. I went back and forth on it, and so on. And so I wrote a separate letter from the review committee, and I recommended against tenure. And I gave my reasons why. What came back was a flurry of stuff that was really difficult to handle. Some people thought that it was a sexist act because our department at that time only had one full-time woman, and she was the woman, and they thought your department needs this gender diversity. But you can't say anything about it. When you write a letter, these are confidential matters, and I cannot say anything about it. There were a couple of other members of the department that said that's really unfortunate. Luckily, the president came by, though, and he says, I get where you're coming from. He says, I get it. He goes, and under normal circumstances, I agree with you, but I'm going to differ with you on this, and I'm going to recommend tenure for her. She didn't speak to me for a long time. When she did, after she received tenure, when she did get a couple of things published, I really tried to celebrate it, build it up, to let her know that I appreciated it and so on. It kind of worked. It didn't work great. But what I noticed, she ended up telling a lot of people what happened and her side of the story. And so other people came to me later, and this reassured me and said, that probably was one of the most courageous things we've ever seen done. Because we knew you were going to go against the president and the vice president for academic affairs. We knew this was going to be tough if you did that. So it did make me feel a little bit better about the situation. But it is a tough position to be in, and it's one that sometimes you have to make. There's some others that are like that are similar, in terms of how difficult it is to make a decision, but that was probably one that I feel like I was in the right, but not necessarily honored in my decision. So.
Thanks. Next question. Come on up.
Hi, Steve.
I might.
I want to know about. Oh yeah. Sorry. Hi, myself.
My
I'm an English and philosophy teacher, And the first day I came here, I got to meet Steve, and I talked with him for a while, and then they said, that's the provost. I was like, but you talked to me like I was a human being. It was great. Steve, I'd like to know about your vision for the future. Schools have to grow and change, and I'm interested in at least one thing that you're like, we have to keep this. This is the number one thing. We're going to keep this. It's not going to change. And what's something that you're like, this has got to go. It's got to change. It's good. People might not like it, but this is the change I'd like to see if I have that vision.
Thanks. So I think the things that have to stay and the things that have to change are actually related. We have just been, in the last year and a half, we've been working on a new strategic enrollment management plan. And I think one of the things that we have learned as an institution is that recruitment and enrollment is not simply an admissions job. It's the job of everybody. And if we continue to just put all of the weight on the admissions department, it's going to cause us some more challenges. We can beat this game. We can bring people in. But it's going to take the effort of every faculty member, staff member, everybody is involved in this type of an effort. And so that is something I know that has to absolutely change. Related to that, Mike, I think, is the idea that we have a mission. It's a 2-year mission. I'll admit, when I first came here with President Wyatt, I thought, let's move this towards a 4-year institution. And President Wyatt and I talked about that and how we might try to go about that. I changed my mind. I'm afraid that we would become, and this is, I don't mean any disregard towards our very fine USHE sister institutions, but we would become, I fear, another 4-year institution without an identity that's that clear and that crisp and that identifiable. We have a chance to remain a 2-year residential state college, for which there used to be almost 300 of them in the country, and now there's less than 20 left. And to be able to do that, and do that well, with a general education program that is exciting and robust, and trying to help students understand even better that preparing for a majors or a possible major now at Snow College is the best way to prepare for a transfer. We have too many students right now, I think, that think, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a general education certificate or finish my GEs, my generals at Snow, and then I'm going to go to another institution. You're doing yourself a great disservice. You lose that personal relationship that you have with students here. You lose the opportunity to be able to explore more readily possible majors than you would at other institutions, and you can still transfer seamlessly and finish in 4 years. One of the reasons why we're so popular at Utah State University, University of Utah, and so on is because when we transfer students, they still, usually, in most cases, unless you have to stop and work or something like that, we still finish in 4 years after having a 2-year degree. So I think that that's what really needs to be our focus. We have to rejuvenate, we have to celebrate the idea that we're primarily a 2-year liberal arts residential institution and a 2-year career and technical educational facility that changes lives and really emphasize that particular point. If we do that, that will guide us in the future, but it will also continue, it will bring us in students on a regular basis, and it will help us to be able to retain them for a greater period of time.
Great, thanks. Next question.
That's a little different with this candidate. I'm Alan Riggs, I'm the Counseling and Wellness Center Director. And I just wonder what your thoughts are on addressing mental health needs for our students, as well as statewide and nationally. Mental health is a pretty big issue right now, so I just wanted some of your thoughts on how to address that.
We have anecdotal information, and just because it's anecdotal doesn't mean that it's not real. We believe that the largest reason why students leave Snow College before completion or before they transfer is, first of all, probably financial, and secondly is because of mental health challenges. We happen to live in a very fortunate era in many respects, in that we're finally getting to the point where we're recognizing bipolar disorders, anxiety, depression, and so on are illnesses and challenges that people have. But at the same time, we're really strapped. We don't have enough mental health caregivers in the state of Utah. And I think part of that is because it requires 4,000 hours practically before you can even be turned over. That's the highest of any state that I know. I don't know if there's any higher in the Union or not in the United States, but that's one of the highest. And that worries me. I really wish we could change laws so that we could get more counselors that want to come here. But I also know that if we determine that we're just going to recruit students and we're not going to pay attention to their well-being, their emotional and mental well-being, we won't be doing our job. And it's something that I think is absolutely essential that we do. I'm very supportive of the plans that are afoot to try to increase the size and to put together a new facility for a mental health counseling unit. And I'm also supportive of some of the classroom efforts that some people have been trying to put together that are classes that actually help students understand issues that may arise in their own life and so on. And so I think that's really important. I am hoping that through legislation that the state of Utah will change the amount of hours it requires for a counselor to be licensed in the state of Utah on their own. And I am also hoping that the state of Utah creates more mental health counseling programs. I have a daughter who's a mental health counseling program in the state of Idaho. She's in Idaho because she couldn't find schools to go to in the state of Utah. And that's a worry to me. And I know it's a worry among the regents as well. They've been studying it for a year and a half, 2 years, trying to figure out how can we get more mental health providers and caregivers in the state of Utah. So I think it is a huge issue, and I think it's one that's going to continue to even grow. And so I'm very supportive of everything that we can do to help grow our facility, to help with this.
Next question. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Tristan. I'm a student at Stone College of third year. Our LGBT Pride Club advocates for equality and works very hard to provide an LGBT-friendly campus. My question is, what would you do as president of Snow College to support the LGBTQ students, seeing that Snow College is one of the only institutions of higher education in Utah that does not have an LGBTQ resource center?
That's a good question. The college has talked from time to time about having an LGBTQ. I'm just going to use the new jargon if it's okay. There's been a movement that's been out there to just call it Q now. There's been a real effort to try to get Q Center in the past that's been set up here. One of the problems, of course, that we always have is with facility space. But you know what? I think even more than having a center, I think one of the things that we have to do is we have to do more in the college to try to be more inclusive in several specific areas. I went to an event, my wife and I went to an event last fall, and we felt kind of sad when we left. It was an event for LGBTQ students, and everybody was sort of sitting in the Founders Hall around the edge of the walls. You know, they were kind of shy. Some kids were coming out for the first time. Others were, already, their identity was already known by people. They were trying to encourage. Frankly, it was kind of awkward. You know, it was one of those things almost like the first 7th grade dance in school or something like that, where all this works out. And, I thought, if we could, when we have these activities, if we were to reach out to groups that might, in some people's minds, might not ever come to mind, like LDSSA, go over to the Institute of Religions, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and say, we're having this event. We would sure love to have some people just come to support us. They'd show. They would come, and that would be good for them. When you look at the largest strides that have been made in the state of Utah in terms of LGBTQ, a lot of it has been because the Archdiocese of Salt Lake City, the Catholic Archdiocese, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints took steps towards making sure that people, few people had help, to endorse the fact that they need health care, that they need these other kind of things. So that helped a lot on college campuses to understand people needed to be accepting, they needed to realize that these are human beings and so on. But one of the things that we can do is working side by side with the LGBTQ community, working side by side with other clubs together in service projects and so on. And for us in the faculty, taking more time as we work, and we've been trying to do some of this with the faculty and training meetings and so on how you approach not just people of Q orientation, but also people from different racial backgrounds, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and how you address them in class and how you address questions in class so that there's not triggers that upset them, but enhances discussion. So I'm a real believer that discussion and the public discussion in classrooms and in the community is the best way to get at this. Now, does that mean that I'm not for a center? I am. But at the same time, we're also trying to find a meditation chapel. We're trying to find a space still for some of our international students and so on. So there's a lot of competing interests there. But it is something the college has looked at, and it is something we'll continue to look at. And we'd like to have it as well. Thanks for your question.
Thanks. While the next person's getting ready to come up, I want to just pose a question.
Okay.
Of course, no college. We're here in Ephraim right now, but of course has another very vibrant campus in Richfield. Would you just address how, being president, you would help divide your time, or how you would make sure that the Richfield campus is also valued and is important going forward?
In our 6-county region that we support, each college, for those of you who may not know, each college and university in the state of Utah has what they call a service region. We serve the central Utah area. Right now, the jobs that are in most demand in these 6-county areas are heavy, what we call our heavy trades or our blue-collar trades programs. So automotive technology, diesel technology, welding, these kinds of things. As many students as we can get in and get to finish, they're going to get jobs. And that's what employers need more than anything right now in our 6-county area. We're not doing as well there as we would like to, but we know we're going to be doing a lot better. And one of the reasons is because we're making better contact with the school districts. We're trying to get our program out there. We're trying to get housing for Richfield. But we can't wait around for the housing situation to appear so that we can send students in there. We're going to have to get ahead of this. So what I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do is have, and we just visited about this in Richfield, is get our trades programs more into the school districts, taking students from their programs with them, showing them what they're doing, take their wares that they're creating, whether it's airplane parts that they've been doing in the machine tool technology program, or pieces of composite materials that they've been making fuselage for aircraft out of, or taking pictures and videos of how they've been working on big rigs and that kind of stuff. Actually take it into the schools and let them know you can be doing this. And not only can you be doing this, you'll earn college credit towards it, which will help you not just be a welder, but will give you the real opportunity to become a supervisor, a foreman, where you're at. To be able to lead people because you'll have writing skills, math skills, and communication skills to go along with that. And that's something that I think we haven't done enough with. The other thing, too, that I think we can do with this is we also have to think carefully when we make new faculty hires. In the traditional liberal arts and sciences, do we automatically just bring them to Ephraim? Or do we try to do more and more to build general education program in Richfield? Because there are lots of people in Richfield that may want to stay at home and take the program there. They've got more growing space than we do here. And so that's important. Richfield also, frankly, needs a little bit of TLC care anyway. And the reason is not because my family's from Richfield, so I'm not saying that they're loony bins or anything like that. What I'm saying is that Richfield has had a very difficult transition. What used to be there was Sevier Valley Tech, which was an applied technology college which was not for credit bearing courses. It's a very difficult process to get a new system, a new college up and running and to get for credit courses going. We've got great instructors there. And the Richfield campus, actually, in terms of closeness, is just as close to one another, or if not more, than even the Ephraim campus is. I mean, there's real pride there. So we need to continue that, to think about growing not just industrial arts and so on, but also the traditional liberal arts and science courses there.
Okay, great, thanks. Next question. Just please come up to the front. We need to have you come to the microphone. Thanks. This is being streamed, and so from the audience, we might be able to hear, but I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of people who are listening in, and so we want to make sure it's paid.
Hundreds of thousands.
I'm going to say millions.
I'm glad I made sure the broccoli wasn't stuck in the teeth from us.
Please introduce yourself and the question.
My name is Suzanne Keaton, and I have two questions. I'm excited that all right.
They're really short.
The first question is, what more can the college do to enable first generation, especially first generation minority students, especially first generation American minority students, to complete and get an associate degree? That's the first question. The second question, I'm published with Sandy Messenger, and I'd like to know what your attitude is towards relationships with youth.
Great. Good questions. One of the areas as a college we've been concerned in is, in many respects, and I don't think a lot of our Snow community even sometimes understands this. The percentage of our students that are students of, from different socioeconomic backgrounds is one of the highest actually in the state. We do very well there. But what Ms. Dean is speaking of really is true. If you were to look into our high schools, though, if you go to South San Pete High School, North San Pete, Juab High School, some of the Gunnison, one of the things that you will notice is, though, is that we have a fairly high percentage of underrepresented students. And it's not simply based on being Hispanic or Native American. It tends to fall more into socioeconomic backgrounds, more of their economic wherewithal. For a family that has limited economic means, especially in an economy like we have right now, the choice of going to college or going out and getting a job, very often, I think too often, they're choosing to go out and get a job and then thinking, well, maybe I'll come back later and get a degree. Because what they do is they sometimes read things or they hear, well, a college graduate makes almost as much money as somebody who just went right out of high school and got a job. That's true. That's true. But 5 years out, it's night and day. 5 years out of college, a college graduate has been able to make their way up higher and be more successful in terms of getting higher salaries. So that's one thing that we've been trying to reach out on, that we're even focusing down even more here. We need to do more to get out and to help families know, moms and dads, not just parents. Yeah, they can go out and they can get a job now and work for $10, $12 an hour. And if they would have a 4-year degree right now, they might get $12, $14 an hour. But they will be so much better off. Their health care coverage will be better. They'll be happier. They'll have less chance of having to work 2 jobs to stay economically viable. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get out into the schools. We're going to let people know that this is one of the messages that is absolutely essential. And as we do that, I think it's going to help pick up some of these folks that think that maybe college isn't for them or isn't something that is possible for them to complete. The other thing that we have to do also is to let a lot of these families know that in some cases, financially, they might be in a better position than regular middle-class families. If we can get them to understand that a Pell Grant at Snow College pays for everything for a lot of these kids. Everything. Their housing, their books, their tuition and fees. And that's a grant that comes from the federal government and does not have to be paid back. We still haven't, we're struggling to get that message to high schools. We tell them that the message, again, isn't getting to mom and dads. Okay, so I think one of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to target mailings to parents. We're going to have to target our message to try to get out in that regard. every institution, to get to Ms. Dean's other question, every institution cannot live without good relations with media. The media, and especially for a county like St. Pete and a county like Sevier County, the Richfield Reaper and the St. Pete Messenger are really the pulse of where people get their news. So having good relations with the media, we want people in Richfield and Ephraim to know that this is their college. You know, this is their go-to place. This, you know, that we want them to have pride and a sense of ownership in here. And one of the principal ways of doing that is making sure that we stay informed with the media, that we're honest with them, that if we make mistakes, we admit that there's a mistake, that if there's a misunderstanding, we fight to get things understood. That's absolutely essential.
Thanks. And Suzanne, I've known you a long time. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've seen you. I should have known that. Next question.
Hi, I'm Jessica Siegfried, Director of Residence Life. So you stated that your experience is primarily within academic affairs. How have you as president then build your experience and or knowledge within the student affairs area, specifically in relation to campus life, student affairs, and residential life? So how would you become more knowledgeable about those staff areas here at Snow College?
That's a really good question. I used to, in my previous job, I was on what they call the Student Life Committee, and we worked with residence life and we worked with campus activities. We worked on improving different proposals that came through from student government, from student clubs, those kinds of things. But Jessica, you're right. My experience on this as far as an administrative effort is pretty thin compared to some of the other areas that I've been in. One of the things that's absolutely essential is having good communications with the people that work with you. And so the vice president for student affairs, the director of advising, director of housing, being able to go around, meet with them, understand exactly what their needs are. That communication, I think, is really vital. I think President Carlson's been very good at that. He's very good at going out and meeting and greeting. And I think that's absolutely essential, especially for a school like ours. And I mean no disregard, once again, for our sister UC institutions, but in some respects, presidents at other institutions don't quite have that same level of responsibility because they're very busy with the things that face them that are on this grand scale. So they have to rely on these relationships with these people. I think we have that same obligation, but at the same time, as a president, I would need to know who the people are that work there. I would need to know about them. I need to know something about their families just because, you know, we want to be concerned about them. We want them to know that they belong to the Snow family. So that's essential. I think, you know, being involved in and supporting student activities, making sure that student body advocates and so on know that you're in there with them, that you attend their activities, that these things are important. So yeah, I'm determined that that's the way that we should go on that.
Next question. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
My name is Carly Mon, I'm a student ambassador. Can you talk a little bit about recruitment? I want to know your plans to improve it and how you would incorporate other departments and faculty other than like in economics.
Yeah, I will tell you one of the things that I feel badly about. As we've done the strategic enrollment management plan, I think there's been a lot of pressure that's been put on the admissions office. Because a lot of people have said, oh my gosh, you know, what's happening? You know, do we need to do something different with admissions? Well, yeah, we do. But a lot of that is us. It's not necessarily the admissions officers. And so, for example, one of the things that I'm hoping, and I've had personal experience in this as a faculty member, we need to do things that we haven't done before. When we find out that a student is interested in Snow College and they're interested in, you know, who knows, chemistry, the chemistry professor writes a note, personal note or sends somebody a text and says, I hear you're interested in this, I would love to talk to you about that. That gets the faculty directly involved in talking to the kids, the students, sorry, and not and not necessarily just passing it on to somebody else. One of our deans made a comment. He says, when we do tours, he goes, I want to see us do more of having the tours come around and sit in our classrooms and hearing what goes on in our classrooms, or sitting down in my chair in my office and we get a chance to visit with them and their parents. I want to be able to do that. We want that to happen. That's what we need to do. We need to think in terms of, rather than just casting out these broad nets and saying, here we are, come and join us. It's going to be 3 more students from Wayne County that we have that has this particular interest. Or we know that this school has had a particular program in an area that we have a particular academic strength in, so we try to recruit 7 of those students. That type of working together. Admissions isn't always going to know where all those are at. That has to come from faculty, that has to come from word of mouth from our relatives that know what's going on in some of these schools. That needs a collaboration of coming together and saying, okay, together we're going to figure out a way to do that. I think sometimes there's fear of this too. Faculty members teach 5 courses, which is a lot, 15 credits a semester. They have to grade, they have to prepare for classes, they have to teach, and they're overwhelmed. They think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Staff members that work in other offices think that, for example, advisors, we're here from 7:30 in the morning to sometimes 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. How can we have the time to be able to do anything different on this? Sometimes it could just mean a few extras here and there and maybe less emphasis on some of the things that we've been doing. We're pretty certain now from our strategic enrollment management plan that we've been working on that some of the things we're doing maybe should be abandoned and new things put in their place. And so it's not always just doing more, it's working smarter and trying to target. Where's Damon?
Thank you. Thank you. 2 quick questions.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, please forgive me. I am Dana Bagnall, and I serve in the scholarship office. First question you may have already asked because I came late. In regards to mental health, because there is such an increased need of students and just individuals, period, who are impacted with emotional awareness, impacted with emotional well-being, what type of additional services and support can be put into place for our counseling staff here, but as well as other staff members and faculty to help support students to recognize when they are in need of help? And then the second question is, in regards to helping to diversify the college, along with reaching out to different populations here within Utah to help expand the diverse background that we have here, what steps are you willing to take to help bring in a diversified staff population as well as faculty to help students who are here to be able to also see themselves in them, not that they can't pick up great things from other people but to learn from them and say.
Good questions. Okay, David, the very first question I did answer previously.
Okay.
And I only have 3 minutes, so let me focus on the second question, and then if I have time, I'll come back. There was a lot of effort that was put out in the early 2000s to try to recruit faculty and staff to come to colleges and universities that were from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, different racial backgrounds, and so on. Because the reality is, it makes a huge difference in completion. And it's not just having an African-American professor in a classroom not only aids in completion for African-American students, it does for white students as well. There's a misunderstanding sometimes where that comes from. So there was all kinds of efforts that came out. There was these great big email lists that you could sign up for to let people know, we want you to apply, we want you to apply. It did not increase employment in colleges and universities very much. It was very sparse. Even going back to the early 1980s, they started to say we're an EEO employer on all of our things, and it would say racial minorities and women are especially invited to apply. That's nice, but it didn't really result in any real increase in faculty and staff. What has increased faculty and staff is personal contact. It's a department chair in an academic department calling up the University of Utah and say, We need a new history faculty member. We would be interested in all of your applicants, but could you please invite especially anybody from an underrepresented group to consider us? We could really use that presence on our campus. It doesn't work every time, not by any stretch of imagination. But as I found out, those kind of personal contacts have worked better than anything. I've even gone to conferences, academic conferences, and sat down with people at the Minority Affairs Committee, for example, of the American Political Science Association, and tried to interview candidates that way. There's a million of us. But when you reach out and you say, we are very interested in having somebody from an underrepresented group, these are the underrepresented groups who are especially interested in coming, you do have a much better chance of yielding somebody that way. And so that's really important. So.
To go along with it, what type of training will be put into place to help diversify it for us?
Yeah, so the question is, what kind of training then do we need to do in order to diversify? I believe, I'm not sure, Josh, but I think maybe Josh Hells and I have talked about this. One of the things we need to do is we need to systematize this at Snow College. We need to get to the point where we actually sit down with department chairs, we sit down with office managers and so on and say, okay, here's the process for recruiting. It's just a process of good recruiting. It's not necessarily just targeting one group of people. It's just a smart thing to do because you're going to get people from a different religious background even who may look like, 60% of your campus, but they may be from a different religious background even if it brings it in. So that type of training has to start at all these different levels. The diversity committee, what do we call that? Inclusion committee has been talking about this as well. How can we further push this out and do more to try to push that? And I think it has to be the top priority.
Well, thank you. Our time has gone quickly. Let's give Dr. Hood a round of applause. I want to invite your feedback. Here is a way to provide us feedback, as I believe I mentioned at the outset, but I'll repeat it. We'll review all of these, and pertinent comments will be shared tomorrow morning with the State Board of Regents and the Executive Committee of the Snow Board of Trustees. We'll be interviewing each of the 4 finalists, and then we also invite you to come back on campus, back to the public meeting of the Board of Regents meeting scheduled for 5:30 tomorrow afternoon at Founders Hall at the Noyes, I believe that's the right room, right? At the Noyes Building, where they will make their decision and appoint the next president of Snow College. So thank you again. We'll have a brief break, and then we'll start with our second finalist at 2 p.m.